So today we're going to talk about personality research methods, and Tuki's going to be joining us as a weird guest because this is just my life. But anyway, so yeah, Tuki, welcome to class. So this is one of my more favorite sections of lecture. We're going to talk all about research methods. You don't need to have taken a stats class to go through this, view this section, and as kind of like a preview of what the research methods are going to look like as you advance through your psychology major or really any social science major. So we're going to look at 4 ways. We'll discuss 4 ways to look at personality type measures. Bliss is kind of the cutesy acronym, using kind of behavior, life, informant, and self data. There are other acronyms that I'll hint at, and we'll discuss the advantages and disadvantages of each type of data. We'll discuss why it's important to collect as many kinds of data as possible, and some of the basic issues of data quality. I know this might not sound super exciting, but it is. You may not think so, but I do. So enjoy. So why is there an emphasis on method in this class? Any class I take from you, it's an emphasis on thinking and seeking out new knowledge, learning how to explore the unknown. This is kind of in contrast to memorizing and using what's already known, so that's more like technical training. I teach a lot of that with statistics classes, but this is more an emphasis on method in the process. And research is all about the exploration of the unknown. Goodness, okay, so we're going to talk about the clues of personality. So these apply to all parts of the triad, and we have to look at all the parts, thoughts, feelings, and behaviors, because personality is complicated. There's no perfect indicator of personality. There are only kind of clues, and the clues we get are ambiguous. And so these clues are really any observable aspect of personality, because we can't directly observe personality. I mean, you can see people's behavior, but you can't observe their latent extroversion score. You don't see a 5 floating above their head saying, hey, I'm extroverted. You don't see that. So you have to infer it from kind of evidence and these clues all around you. And a psychologist's job is to put all those clues together and interpret them correctly. And there aren't any perfect measures. There's no perfect clue. Otherwise, we could just use our eyeballs and find that floating 5. And this is where kind of Funder's law comes in. While we don't have any perfect measures, it's not like height, we don't have something that's really unambiguous, we still have information. And as a general rule, some information is better than nothing, even if that information is not great. And there's debate about this, whether it's better to have biased data, so data that's inaccurate, or no data. I personally prefer to have biased data, rather than nothing. But you need to be very mindful that bias exists, and we'll talk a little about that. But in general, having some data is better than no data. And here is a New Yorker comic, all rights reserved, fair use. So this you can read it yourselves. I'll just make my floating head disappear. Oftentimes we use a lot of self-report data, but we want more. So this cutesy little comic about, are you just pissing and moaning, or can you verify what you say with data, is essentially asking, do you have something else to verify this? Because self-report, while it's useful, is only one kind of data. It's really helpful to have something else to kind of back it up. And when we have multiple sources of evidence that all point to the same direction, it's helpful. It's fairly compelling. Now, if we were in person, I would ask you what other kinds of data could be used to verify this man's complaints. Unfortunately for me, but very fortunately for you, you're not in my apartment right now having me ask you this question. So instead, I want you to think about it. And, what other kinds of evidence exist? So Bliss, which Funder kind of uses, is a cutesy acronym to describe all these different types of data. And the types of data that Bliss's acronym is behavior, life outcomes, informants, and self. Bliss. There have been other cutesy acronyms like Jack Block has one called Lost. Cattell, he's got LQT. LQT is life, but this also includes experimental data. Q, which is questionnaire data, and T, which is objective test. We have story as well. There's lots of these, and these data types will differ by field, but we're going to focus here on the data types that work for measuring personality. Now, I've found a great summary article. It's a little dated at this point, but peer-reviewed published article, and it's available online for free, which are both kind of, I think, make up for the out-of-dateness. Okay, let's see how many times I have to click before we're allowed to go to the next line. 2. Great. So we're going to talk about ways to triangulate personality, because that's essentially what we're doing here. We're using these 4 different data types to get a hold on personality. Before I go too much further, this bubblegum diagram, the non-parenthetical statement for each bubble, so like personality here, behavior here, life outcome here, informants here, and self here, those are kind of the broad examples, like the broad kind of structure. And I apologize for all of the moving sounds because it is moving day for seniors and juniors in the apartment complex that Wake Forest has rented most of. I was here first, but you'll probably be able to figure out pretty quickly where I live. So that'll be a fun game for you. So, but back to the lecture. So extroversion is our example here, and it's in parentheses. Extroversion is a trait that we'll talk more deeply about, but most people have a decent sense of what that means. It means to be sociable, higher energy, have lots of positive emotions, and be friendly and talkative to people. So a behavioral way that we express extroversion is talking to others. You can observe this and just count how many times do you see someone talking to others during a set amount of time. And it's pretty objective, so the more extroverted people should talk to more others than the less extroverted people. Next, we have life outcomes, is almost like a remnant of personality. So the number of Facebook friends typically are going to be higher for those higher on extroversion because they're just more sociable. They're more likely to go to parties and all those other things. Next, we have informants. So that's everybody that's not you. Do your friends say you're chatty? So if I were to go around and actually randomly sample, from your Facebook friend group, how many of them would say your friends are chatty and have them fill out a report? Last is self-report, where you can literally just ask whoever you're interested in understanding their extroversion, would you say you're extroverted? And take that answer. That's basic self-report. There we go. I'm sorry. I have the biggest itch on my back and I can't wait any longer. Oh. It's very possible I will not edit this out because that is beyond my camera editing abilities. So if you saw me scratch my back or are seeing this, that tells you that my camera film editing abilities need some improvement. Now I'm going to shut this kind of preamble to the rest of the lecture here. So I'm gonna chop it, and you'll see me pretty soon. If anything, you can just press next and go to the next video in the sequence.